Alright, so we're going to try this again here. This is test number 2 of the ride home, and taking a different route home here, and the location of the microphone. So a couple changes were made here. The location of the microphone is now up toward my nose guard, being shielded, clipped to and being shielded by the actual breath guard, nose guard that I have on my helmet, which is like a piece of rubber sticking out. And I have turned down the mic. It was originally set to standard mic plus, which added a little bit of power from the camera to help like amplify the sound, but after screening the final footage, kind of found it unnecessary to need it, so we're going to try something else today. Still using the same microphone. I had to change a little bit of positioning on devices. I took the mount that I use for my X grip and phone and moved it down one on the left side to give space for the RAM mount ball on the top to hold the long arm and the camera itself. So today's journey is going to be taking me from Fullerton all the way back to Torrance. I'm going to be stopping at Columbia Park, which is on 190th and Prairie, to see if it is, as rumor has it, it is a Whalmer nest for all those Pokemon Go players that are still playing. Also going to be using this as an opportunity to see if I still get noise interference here. The microphone's positioning now is blocked by my face shield, as long as I keep my face shield down, and is higher up toward somewhere between my nose and my mouth. So we'll see where this goes. Just kind of go from there. Total travel time is probably going to be somewhere between 45 to 50 minutes depending on traffic, assuming that it's a normal day in the neighborhood at 4:15 on a Friday. There will probably be some lane splitting involved here, so yeah, hold on to your seats. There will be a little bit of entertainment in between, and maybe just a lot of my breathing, I guess. I'm always looking for suggestions on better positioning for this camera. Currently, where the camera is located is smack dab in the middle. I'm actually putting the arm, as I mentioned earlier, on the opposite side as it was in the beginning, where it was hanging off the right, which meant that I had to take off my cup holder in order for it to fit. Now, this time around, I've put my cup holder back, and I've made space by moving my cell phone device down by one ball, and the ball that was originally used to mount my cell phone is now being used to mount the camera. And checking clearances, it looks like I am still clear of the windshield, which was my biggest fear. Is even though I have a lot of stuff here on the handlebars, I have to make sure that at full lock in both directions, nothing is hitting the windshield or interfering with full movement of the bike, because that would not be a good idea. You want to capture all the action and have a little fun with this, but you still need to be able to be safe and have your equipment where it should be. So we'll just go from there and see what happens. For this ride home, I've actually channeled the power cord to my phone because it is low in battery, and I didn't on the commute in. and so the GoPro is just running on regular battery power, which is fine because you can always charge it later, no big deal. This is Euclid Avenue, Fullerton. Or the back way from my work. A couple places I like to eat are right here on the corner of Orange Thorpe and Euclid. This is a really good chicken sandwich place I like, and yeah, the place is good. Hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll be able to make one of the, sanctioned chapter rides that we have for Women on Wheels. And I managed to do that, I'll be able to really test this camera and see what I can do with it. But I'm hoping that obviously all of these is just to test the microphone and see where, what works. Hopefully this configuration will work the second time around, but it just takes a little bit of configuration, experimentation, things like that. Not as nasal as I was this morning. I did have a little bit of a stuffy nose coming in, but I was able to clear that out, not a big deal. This is one of a couple alternate ways that I used to get home. The other option is from the route that I took this morning, exiting at Beach Boulevard, which is parallel to Euclid, but through about 3 miles to the east of me, or the west, I mean. I did have that option, but today decided to take Euclid down and then enter the 91 this way. Sometimes I have better luck just getting onto the freeway from here, because it's a bit of a windy road to take Beach all the way back to the 91 freeway. Current temperatures right now, looking about 72 degrees. It was about anywhere between 48 to 50 degrees this morning coming in, and fortunately the temperatures have just mellowed out enough so it's not so uncomfortable on the ride home. Looks like, from what I'm gathering, is that weather for this week is possibly hitting in the 90s this upcoming week. It's gonna be a little much. This is the fun part. Merging onto the 91 and then trying to get about 3 lanes over to get onto the carpool lane where I can then fly. This is the part where everyone tries to go home. Unfortunately, I'm going to be traveling westbound, so it's going to put me right into the sun. Hopefully the contrast won't be too bad. See what happens here. Depending on how blocked up we are, we're just about a sneeze from the 91 and I-5 interchange here, and depending on the traffic flow and the amount of cars on the road, it's going to determine when I begin the lane splitting. There have been times where I've had to lane split nearly the entire ride home, and that's just annoying. A couple things might happen though. If there's motorcycles behind me that are coming in a little hot, or when they get past me, I usually sneak in an open lane and just let them pass, because it's not really worth it. I travel at a certain speed because it's my personal preferences. If I'm in a real hurry, oh, I'll go nuts, but this is not me. Also, remember, I'm riding a motorcycle, a 1300cc motorcycle. Yeah, that's somebody right back over there. Almost rear-ended someone else. That wasn't good. But Eleanor is a 1300cc motorcycle, full size, with saddlebags. Gives me about a 42-inch clearance from side to side. The basic rule is if it clears the width of my mirrors, I can get through. Compared to other motorcycles that seem to be a little smaller, that could potentially mean that I still won't fit anyway. But now increasing speed. Let's see if this microphone is going to continue to work well with me here. At this point, the 91 freeway carpool lane splits from 2 lanes back into 1 lane, and this is where the bottleneck usually starts. Then the people start cutting in. Just gotta watch out for people with the blinky lights. Good idea on changing your mind, buddy. Sometimes you get lucky and people will move over for you, or you just manage to fit. I don't know how much visual distortion you get from having a wide-angle lens here on the GoPro, but the cars actually aren't as close to me as they look. Thank you, bus. In some scenarios like this, some motorcycles have been known to, just zoom right through this this line, but you're doing it kind of at a risk, because if you're riding faster than your reaction time, especially in a very tight situation like this, it does increase the risk for something to happen. Somebody asked me, what would be the proper speed for lane splitting in traffic, and it's like, the way I look at it is, ride fast enough that you're brisk and you're efficient, but don't ride so fast that you can't react to someone randomly doing something dumb. So after a while, you just kind of come up with a style and a pace that is comfortable for you, so that you can see stuff that happens up ahead, like that guy switching lanes, and just being able to understand reaction time and things like that. No one's method of lane splitting is perfect. my style can be for somebody, you know, not really what they prefer to do when they're splitting lanes. And some other people, you know, would think that this would be comfortable. But really, in regards to lane splitting, you have to figure out what's right for yourself and what's safe. But just know that here in California it's legal. The time to speed up is the time to slow down. It really does require a different kind of skill and you know, a different insight into the flow of traffic and how things work. One of my best pieces of advice when, you know, going through lanes and traffic and stuff like that is just to, you know, take it slow. Do a couple cars at a time. You don't have to do an entire line up the carpool lane. This is like, you know, this is when you're at a point where, you know, you understand flow and you're just like, okay, this is just another day. But if you're just starting the lane split, do it a few cars at a time. Don't rush into it. You start coming up with a groove, start something that works for you. You know, obviously, if it looks like you can't fit, don't force the issue, because you're going to end up losing. You know, the other thing too is that, you know, if you're lane splitting and it's kind of a, you know, narrow area, you know, stay at a lower gear. Lower gear allows for maximum torque when you're riding, you know, on the freeway, because you need to sometimes have the ability to just punch out of there, just in case something is going funny. So always have room to punch out. Don't, you know, compromise your situation and, you know, ride faster than conditions allow. There's a lot of speed up and slow down. One thing I just realized that I didn't do was turn on the GPS readings for this recording, so you could actually see, you know, when I pull up the GPS readings, what the actual speed and flow of traffic was when I was riding through. Because there are times where I have to slow down, and sometimes where I have to speed up. At the same time, though, it's not stop and go; it's more of slow and go. Sometimes, you know, you'll be in situations like this where the truck is there and I got a guy following me, so I'm just gonna let him go here. He's much thinner than I am in a Honda Shadow, so I just let him go. It's part of a courtesy thing. You don't want to hold someone up. That's actually more dangerous that way. With a smaller bike, a narrower bike, you know, it's a little bit easier to lane split faster. And when I'm on my other motorcycle, it's much easier to do that. But this is my old girl. She's kind of wide. Not as wide as some other sports touring bikes, and I know some people that, you know, lane split pretty aggressively on bikes wider than this, but it's just not my style. It's outside of my personal comfort level, and there's a reason why I have traveled almost 200,000 miles on a bike and have survived to have seen that number. I mean, this is on a single bike. I mean, I'm not even talking about my personal lifetime miles, which is closer to about 250, 275. So I've done quite a bit of riding. You just do. We've re-entered Cerritos back in LA County. say, though, it's nice to be done with this week. It was pretty long. A lot of stuff going on. Positive in some ways, and then, you know, it's just sometimes there are just moments that just seem to test you. Just trying to get through it. But we'll survive. It's what we do. Commentary on this, though, is, you know, this particular Friday I don't have any hockey games tonight. They're usually at El Segundo Toyota Sports Center, you know, playing hockey, and no games this week due to a tournament in Vegas that everyone else but me has gone to. I kind of just laugh about it because pretty much half the league has gone to Vegas for this tournament, and when they do this Las Vegas tournament, you come to that awkward realization that you travel, you know, 275, 300 miles and end up playing against the same people that you normally play against on Friday night. The only difference is there's buffets, there's alcohol, and all sorts of other randomness. And you're in Vegas. So you can, you know, you have the ability to do other stupid things there, like, you know, and then some. I guess that works. I am thoroughly determined that next year I think I'm going to go in as a free agent and get matched up with a team that needs a goalie and just put a team together. Just like, screw it. I'm sick of having to wait for people to ask me to go. And actually, you know, it would have been nice to go again. You know, an excuse, a vacation, something of the sort. Yeah, that's what happens when you're one of the best alternate goalies in the hockey community down in LA. So far, reached about 70 miles an hour. I can hear the wind on my windshield. Not sure if that's going to affect, but I am riding with my windshield completely down as a sound test. We'll see what happens. This time I'm going to raise my shield just a little bit to try to cut down some of this wind noise. See if that'll help. Obviously I'm not going to be able to check any of this until we get to... I'm able to download this footage onto my laptop, but, you know, we'll see what happens. For all I know, I could have actually fixed the problem that I had this morning and, you know, put myself in a better place to do these recordings, and if I'm able to actually do good recordings, you know, during freeway travel, that would definitely add to the entertainment of these video blogs. So, I'm gonna be opening the shield of my helmet temporarily here because I need to scratch my nose, but we'll see how that affects the sound here. 3, 2, 1. So I got the shield open here. I think it's probably going to be the most wind issues here, but we'll just go from there. I'm going to close the windshield now. Okay. Well, so yeah. Be exiting a different exit this time. It's usually get off on Hawthorne, but because I'm swinging by the park, as in Columbia Park, I'm probably going to be exiting Crenshaw and turning onto 190th. That's when we get back into, you know, regular speed roads and things like that, and we'll be at a park. We'll find out if it's true that you can catch a bunch of Whalmer Pokemon Go game, and then bring back a friend later this evening after I go film a basketball game at Lawndale High School. I'm totally good with that. watching Paramount. Which reminds me, it's been a little while since I've been able to go and play some airsoft. It's been busy. You know, there's some moments where it's like adulting is just tiring. You want to do a bunch of things, but then your schedule says, nope, you can't. And you try to free up your schedule, and you get, it's like, you know, just everything runs on its own time. I'm hoping that I'll be able to put this GoPro to work in different arenas. One of them being airsoft. I do have a couple new mounts for the camera, so I can attach this to my rifle and other fun things. So we'll see what happens. This part is actually surprisingly smooth. Usually, like I said, it's not as busy tonight. Maybe everyone went to Vegas. That happens sometimes. Oh, I spoke too soon. That's the part that sucks is when you're going westbound riding directly into the sun, it's just like, wow. That's why my face shield is tinted dark, and it allows me to ride into this without having to use my prescription sunglasses, which I do have the option of using, but I'm not a fan of using them in my helmet, so just gotta go with that. Problem, or at least the caveat of using a front-mounted camera on this thing is that I can't turn my point of view so that you can see like what else is going on around me. Now it is completely possible for me to do that if it's helmet mounted, and that makes for an interesting time. I would just have to be very aware of my what is it called? Be very aware of my head movements and not to make too many jerky movements as to cause the viewer some discomfort as we're trying to get through. About a smooth 78, 79 miles an hour right now. Just gonna keep talking through the speeds here and see if anything works. I mean, every ride I do is an experiment here, and I can't really guarantee, what performance will be. But once everything is, dialed in to where I know exactly the configuration and where things need to go, it's a lot easier to set up the microphone for it to work. Approaching the end of the 91 freeway where it meets at the 110. We're taking that and then taking the fork over to the 405 north. that's fun. Here on the 110 interchange, traffic backs up pretty badly, so I just have to find a creative way to sneak in here and try to just kind of... Nope. Let's try that again. Just very, very slightly. It's almost coming to a complete stop and then just kind of sneaking in. It's actually kind of annoying. Sometimes, you know, when you're approaching this section of the freeway, you basically go from 60 to 0 in about 2 seconds. Not fun. Traffic. Let's see what you can do here. On the 405 north here. It's very weird kind of interchange here. Here it's going to merge. exits to go here before I exit here. But we've gone back down to about 25-30 miles an hour, so should be pretty easy to listen to hear or at least for the mic to pick this up. It's been a long day. I don't even have the words to say it. Just for a couple seconds before the sun peeks out past the building. Ow. Yeah. It's Crenshaw Boulevard. We're taking that one. Well, so far the position of my cell phone has been fine. I might just keep it down there. It's a little bit more discreet. Doesn't actually look like, you know, when I poke the screen or something, it doesn't actually look like I'm trying to text or something like that. I'll go ahead and lower the windshield as soon as I start moving. Thing too about Crenshaw Boulevard is that this section, there's a lot of like heavy trucks that go through here, so basically my bike is in a divot right now and it's kind of uncomfortable, but I should be able to get out of it as soon as this light turns green arrow. turn here. Now, there's several places where I can park for this, but I think what I'm going to do first is turn on the game and see if any of these things show up. Approaching Columbia. Let's see what happens. So the rumor has it is that these particular Whalmer are showing up by the soccer fields, this is basically the soccer fields around the playground area. So I'm gonna find out if the theory is true. Well, it's a Kygor. Holy shit, that is a Whalmer. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now, but let's just say, yeah, they are here. I am going to sign off now here, but there you go, the ride home. I'll fix this in post and see what happens. I'll talk to y'all later.